I want to kick things off today with a feeling, a frustration, really, that is so common for anyone learning a language.
hmm
It's that moment where you know you're fluent on the inside. You can follow a movie, you get all the jokes, you can listen to a fast podcast,
Understand everything.
everything. But then the second it's your turn to talk, to actually say something,
Hmm.
it's gone. It all just
The
vanishes.
mind goes blank.
Completely blank. So you sent us this great collection of sources, everything from language learning guides to some really deep psychological papers on speech.
Right.
And they all focus on this one specific hurdle, this gap between understanding everything and actually being able to speak. Okay, let's unpack this.
Let's do it.
We are diving into why that path from your brain to your mouth feels so blocked, and of course, how to unblock it.
And I think it's so important right at the top to just validate that feeling, that mental shutdown, that jolt of nervousness you feel. All the material we pulled together confirms this is a standard roadblock. It's temporary. It is absolutely not a sign that you're failing or that you're not smart enough.
That's a huge relief to hear, I think.
It is, because your understanding is high, and that's like half the battle already won.
Yeah.
So our mission today is really to pull out the core ideas from this material.
Practical stuff.
The practical stuff. We want to understand why this freeze happens on a cognitive level, and then give you some simple, practical steps to start building that confidence.
Let's stick with that phrase for a second, because the sources describe it so perfectly. Inside your head, you are brilliant.
Mm-hmm.
You're following the conversation, processing everything. You're like an expert spectator. But the moment you're asked to get on the field and play,
Total panic. It's almost like a kind of performance anxiety, isn't it?
it is.
And what's fascinating here is the distinction the sources make between passive knowledge and active knowledge. Your listening skills, your input fluency, that's all about pattern recognition.
Knowing what sounds right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But speaking, or output fluency, that's about generating something new from scratch. It uses a completely different part of your brain's machinery.
So the knowledge is there, but the machine to get it out isn't warmed up yet.
Perfectly put. So if this is you, if you're feeling this, you're not alone. You're just at that point where the passive knowledge has to become an active skill.
Which means the barrier is psychological, not intellectual. It's not about how smart you are.
Not at all.
Okay, so let's pivot. Here's where it gets really interesting for me. Why is that pathway from understanding to speaking so blocked? Our sources point to three really consistent barriers.
Yeah. And the first one is maybe the most powerful because it's so tied to our ego. It's the weight of perfection.
The fear of making mistakes.
Fear of making mistakes. Exactly. It's the central thing that holds people back.
But it's more than just getting a word wrong, right? The sources talk about this fear of being seen as less intelligent, especially when you know your comprehension is so high.
It's a prison you build for yourself. You have these super high expectations. So when you go to speak, your internal editor just screams at you. You're checking for grammar, for pronunciation, for the perfect vocabulary word before you even open your mouth.
And that just kills any sense of spontaneity.
It slams the brakes on it. Speech needs momentum, and that hunt for perfection just stops it dead in its tracks.
Because you're focused on performance, not the message.
Precisely. The goal of communication is just to get your idea across. But the goal of perfection is to perform flawlessly. And that's where the pressure comes from.
That makes so much sense. And that pressure, that paralysis, it feeds right into the second barrier, which is all about cognitive overload. The mental translator.
Right.
The sources explain this as, your brain trying to do too many things at once. Can you kind of walk us through what that actually costs the brain?
Yeah, think of your brain like a computer's CPU. For a normal conversation, you need very low latency,
Right.
a quick response. Now imagine running 3 super heavy programs at the same time. Program 1 is listening. Program 2 is forming a perfect sentence in your native language. And Program 3 is translating that sentence back into perfect English.
While also scanning for error.
While also scanning for errors. The whole system just bogs down. That lag, that pause you feel between hearing a question and giving an answer,
Yeah.
that's the sound of the processor overheating.
Yeah.
And that hesitation is what feels like a freeze to you.
But it's so hard to break that habit, isn't it? Translating feels safe.
It's a security blanket.
Yeah. So do the sources say to just forget grammar entirely?
Not entirely, but to deprioritize it significantly. The goal is to go from an idea straight to English, skipping your native language completely.
How do you do that?
You reduce the load, You stop worrying about complex grammar for a bit and just focus on getting the core words out,
Yeah.
the basic vocabulary. Speed and just getting the idea out is more important than perfect syntax at this stage.
Okay, so we have the fear of perfection, which is psychological, and the mental translator, which is cognitive. That brings us to the third one, which feels maybe the most straightforward, the practice imbalance.
This one is just fundamental skill acquisition. Like you said, comprehension skills, listening to podcasts, watching shows, that's all passive. Your brain is a sponge.
Right.
But speaking is an active production skill. It's like playing an instrument or a sport. It needs active, deliberate practice to build those pathways in your brain.
So even if I've spent 1,000 hours listening to English,
An amazing accomplishment.
but only 10 hours actually speaking, then I have a huge skill gap.
You have highly trained input muscles and completely untrained output muscles. That's it. The sources are so clear that listening hours, as valuable as they are, do not count as speaking practice.
That's a tough pill to swallow for a lot of people, I think.
It is, but it's also empowering. Because it means the problem isn't that you don't know enough. The problem is just a lack of a specific kind of training.
You just need to train the output system.
Exactly. And that's why we focused on confidence earlier. Because to overcome the fear in the translating, you just have to start producing, even if it's not perfect.
Okay, so if those are the whys, we need the hows. What practical, low-pressure steps do the sources suggest we can actually take?
This is the best part because the material is so clear on this. It offers sort of a trio of simple solutions, and they're all about removing that performance anxiety.
Okay, let's hear them. The first one is start small. What does small even mean here? We're not talking about jumping into a big debate.
No, not at all. We're talking micro practices, things like shadowing, where you just repeat a sentence right after you hear it. You're only focused on the sound and rhythm, not creating new thoughts or self-narration. You just describe what you're doing out loud. I am making a cup of coffee. I am opening the fridge. Simple sentences.
So the point is just to get your mouth moving without the pressure of a conversation partner.
Exactly. The cognitive load is super low, so the mental translator doesn't even have a chance to jump in. You're just training your mouth.
I like that. Okay, the second piece of advice is a big one. Speak slowly. This feels wrong, you know? Everyone wants to speak fast and sound like a native. Doesn't this just reinforce bad habits?
It might feel like that, but the neurological benefits are immediate. When you slow down, you give your brain a few extra crucial seconds to find the right words.
Ah, so you're buying yourself time.
You are buying yourself time. You're sacrificing a little speed to gain clarity, and most importantly, to stop that freeze response from happening. Clarity is better than rushed anxiety.
The goal is communication, not a speed contest.
That's it.
Yeah.
And that leads right into the third solution, which tackles the practice imbalance head on. Practice daily.
Consistency over cramming.
The mantra is consistency over duration. The sources argue that 5 minutes of active speaking every single day is so much better than a 2-hour panic conversation once a month.
Because it builds a habit.
They build a habit. It gives routine for your brain, not a high-stakes performance. They suggest things like habit stacking.
What's that?
You link your 5 minutes of speaking practice to something you already do. Like right after you brush your teeth, you narrate your breakfast plans.
No.
Or while your coffee is brewing. It just becomes part of your day.
So start small, speak slowly, practice daily. These are all designed to just dismantle that fear of making mistakes.
Exactly. They make the act of speaking feel low stakes.
Which brings us to what feels like the final overarching piece of advice from the sources, the big mindset shift. The focus must be on confidence, not perfection. You have to really internalize that phrase, it's okay to make mistakes.
This is a total overhaul of your attitude. Mistakes are going to happen. They're inevitable. So if you can see them as just data points.
Like feedback.
Yes, feedback on what to work on next instead of a personal failure. All that anxiety just melts away. The key is just keeping the conversation going, even if you know you just made a grammar mistake.
Get the message across, even if it's not flawless.
That is the mandate. If they understood your point, the communication was a success. The grammar will get better over time with this kind of consistent, low-stakes practice.
Okay. So what does this all mean? Let's boil it down. We've learned that this struggle, it's normal. It is not a sign that you're failing.
Absolutely.
It's driven by that fear of mistakes, the overload from translating in your head, and just a simple lack of specific speaking practice.
The output practice.
The output practice. And the way forward is through daily super low pressure actions. Start small, speak slow, and value confidence way more than perfection.
Mm-hmm.
We really want to repeat that final piece of encouragement we found in the sources because it's so powerful.
Mm-hmm.
If you can understand English, you absolutely can speak it.
You have all the tools you need. You just have to unlock that output valve.
You do.
And that really brings us to our final thought for you to take away today. Our deep dive has been all about starting small and practicing daily to build that confidence. So my challenge to you is to be very specific.
Not just I'll speak more.
No. What is one simple, repeatable speaking activity? Maybe it's summarizing a 1-minute video out loud. Maybe it's describing your lunch. What is one thing you could commit to for just 5 minutes today?
Define that one microactivity. Take that 5-minute challenge and just start. You already have all the knowledge. You just need to give it a voice.
Thank you for joining us for this deep dive into bridging that understanding speaking gap.
We'll see you next time.